This chapter focuses almost exclusively on the Sanji and Jabra fight. We also get a check-in from the Gates of Justice as well as everywhere else on Enies lobby as well.
One Piece, Chapter 414, Sanji versus Jabra.
Boy, Sanji whipping all that ass. Woo! Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and epic and Sanji-filled tale of One Piece. Now, of course, our last chapter saw us with really Usopp being on the brink of death and about to be killed by Jabra in, of course, his his wolf form, and Sanji coming in at the last minute like the Lone Ranger and just BAM! Putting him into a wall with one of his kicks. And certainly coming to turn the tides of this battle. So that is where the chapter left off, and that's actually right where the chapter picks up. Amongst the fighting and everything that's going on, they wind up seeing in the background, in the backdrop, the Gates of Justice starting to open. And these giant gates that only open just a little crack to get, to get in behind, basically the whole gist of it is that once you disappear into the Gates of Justice, you never come back, So there's nothing good beyond there, not for anybody that's being taken there by a world government person or official or what have you. So anyway, as they go and they see that open and they're like, oh my god, what happened? Was Luffy too late? Were we not able to help save him? So what happens is Sanji basically says, listen, Sniper King, right? And he actually addresses him as Usopp. He goes, listen, we're going to have to switch places here. You're going to do what I could not, and I'm going to do what you could not. So I'm going to take out Jabra, and I need you to go and help save Robin, And it's funny because Nami during this whole thing's like, what the hell? How are you all of a sudden okay? And he's like, I don't know, a bathtub fell on my head and broke the curse. Or a bathtub fell on me, I got wet. It must have broke the curse. And he's like, but more importantly, did you miss me, Nami? And she's just like, I wish the bathtub would have hit you in the head, But anyway, so he sends Usopp off on his goal, and I kind of like this because it was one of those things where he went and he put the front and center of importance, and kind of the weight of the world, so to speak, on Usopp's shoulders. But really, after what happened in the falling out nearly 100 chapters ago now between Usopp and Luffy, I think this is the mental hurdle that Usopp needed to overcome. He needs to feel as if he's needed for something, right? And it's kind of like, hey, listen, we get it that you put your guys on and your Sniper King and everything else, right? But whoever you want to be called, rise to the occasion because we need your help now. You need to go take care of what I couldn't. So that's the whole deal. You know what I mean? That's what they say anyway. We get a quick check-in with Frankie. Frankie and company they're running, of course, down trying to catch up to and hopefully be able to save Robin with the keys 3 and 4 that he does wind up having. Little Chimney over there is spray painting arrows on the side of the wall to let everybody that comes after them know where to go. But the bottom line is that we get a check-in from all different areas of Enies lobby to kind of see that the warships, the naval warships, are headed in. They're on their way. They're getting there, and the bombardment is about to happen. And that's what you see. You see, everybody trying to board the sea train. The sea train is full. They need more cars. They need to get more people on. And really just a check-in with kind of everybody on the island to see what's going on. Even, of course, Robin and Spandam and what's going on with them. But really the meat and potatoes and the whole point of this chapter is obviously the Sanji versus Jabra fight. And that's what the majority of it takes place in. And I think it's really cool because Sanji, Jabra winds up going and nail him with this iron body kung fu. He actually has the ability to do the iron body but not have to stand still like everybody else does. His adaptation of that is that he can actually move while having the iron body on. So obviously, if your whole body is hardened in iron, your punches, your kicks, if you can move, are going to be that much more devastating and powerful. However, Sanji, though, I never realized this, and I really noticed it only, I guess, in this chapter. Sanji's like next level as far as speed. I mean, this guy is like, he's like Sonic the Hedgehog with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. He really is fast because he winds up going and dodging some moves. First, he winds up, as he's trying to get Usopp out of there, he winds up taking a kind of a cheap shot, I guess you would call it, from Jabra. But hey, whatever, all's fair. They're just fighting, It is what it is. And he gets smashed into a wall. But then he gets up and he goes and goes on the offensive and jacks up Jabra. Jabra tries to use his iron body. And even though it lessens the blows, he doesn't say it out loud, but in his head, he's like, man, those hurt. Those are, and Sanji's like, yeah, it's annoying how you harden your body like iron, but number one, Sanji's fast. Number two, he's fucking strong. I mean, he's like otherworldly strong. So he's, he's putting the moves on him, man, and he's coming at him with every type of French word that you could possibly imagine, and just starts coming at him. But he's actually able to go and dodge a couple of the faster moves, the 10-finger pistol punch, or the 10-finger pistol, whatever that was called. I think it was the 10-finger pistol. You know, where he takes both of his claws when Jabra comes at him, and he's able to dodge him. And it seems like Sanji is just, again, next level fast, and I mean, there's a couple of attacks that come in that he just blocks, just straight out blocks with his legs or whatever, and you're thinking, man, you know, this is insane. This is intense, and this is what I wanted to see from these battles, you know what I mean? So this is definitely very cool stuff. The chapter, as things wind up kind of going back and forth, it gets to a point where Sanji goes and lays a ton of attacks on Jabra. And Jabra, I wouldn't say quite that he's done or that he's reeling, but he's definitely, I think he definitely realizes this is going to be a little bit harder of a task to overtake this guy than he originally thought. I think he didn't, I think in his mind, he thought that it was going to be kind of just, you could just be able to walk over these Straw Hat Pirates. And Sanji's giving him a run for his money now. You know, he's taking him to the limit. So, but Jabra, towards the end of it, tries to pull the same cheap-ass bullshit that he did with Usopp, you know, in the last chapter, which really kind of pissed me off, because this guy's, he's going and he's clamoring for power, right? And he's pissed because, you know, Kaku's a little bit higher on the CP9 power scale than he is. And this guy goes and thinks that somehow you're going to be able to show your might and your power by pulling these underhanded tactics. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be like he's like a wolf, you know, and like in the whole, you know, Little Red Riding Hood story, like the big bad wolf was obviously this like deceitful person because he went and he dressed up as grandma, you know, and all this other stuff. And in the original tale, obviously he had eaten grandma. And anyways, putting all that stuff aside, he goes and tries to pull the same bullshit, and he goes and throws the key out, and he says, you know what, just go ahead and save Robin. And Sanji's like, what are you getting at? What are you talking about, you know? And it looks like Sanji's going to play right into it. And he's like, you know, I didn't want to say this or mention this, but, you know, Robin and I were separated at a very young age, you know, and she's actually my little sister, you know, so just this whole fighting thing, it's all a bunch of nonsense. Just go save her, right? And he says it with all this sincerity, and I'm like, what the fuck, you know? So Sanji goes, he's like, really? And he's got that Sanji, like, huh? Look on his face like he's going to fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. But just like the shit that went down all the way back in Little Guard and everything else, Sanji don't fall for that bullshit, right? You know, you want to go and put on a woman's face, you know, like Mr. 2 did, you might have an easier time trying to take Sanji down, or obviously in the fight with Khalifa and whatnot. But if you don't got a woman's face and some breasts, Sanji ain't buying it. Anyways, it's cool though, because Sanji goes to bend down to get the key and draws him in, and as Jabra comes in for the cheap-ass move, Sanji goes and comes at him and just says, haven't you heard about the boy who cried wolf? And just, I mean, just jacks him up with a beautiful kick over here. So, oh man, what a great, intense chapter. And he goes in, and I love too that he just wound up going, because when, you know, when Jabra pulled that shit on Usopp, or Sniper King, or whatever we're calling him in these chapters now, you know, obviously he's a much weaker opponent to begin with, so why are you pulling some underhanded shit like that when you can decisively win without having to go and be cheap? That just really killed me, you know? And then and he fell for it hook, line, and sinker, and wound up, you know, almost getting killed over it, you know, getting mortally wounded or what have you, or as wounded as you can get if you're one of Oda's Straw Hat characters. You know, but then over, you think that he's going to pull the same shit on Sanji, and that Sanji's going to fall for it, right, man? And he just, BAM! Just, you never hear about the boy who cried wolf? So I thought that was pretty cool. That's where the chapter wraps up over here. And my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is really, what are your thoughts on this fight between Jabra and Sanji? And also, what are your thoughts on the just kind of the underhanded tactics that Jabra continually uses? Now, you know, I know that there's a couple of different schools of thought on that one. You know, a lot of people think that the honorable thing to do when you're fighting somebody is, you know, you're fighting one-on-one and you're not trying to use cheap shit to your advantage. But, you know, this is life or death situation here. These CP9 members aren't exactly the, you know, the titans of justice as they say that they are, right? That they claim to be. And Sanji and the rest of the Straw Hats, they're about saving Robin now, you know, whatever means necessary. So I guess it's kind of just an anything goes type of situation. You just don't see that type of bullshit coming from the Straw Hats is all. So, you know, it's to me, it amazed me to go and see that. I wouldn't say amazed, but it was a little bit of a surprise to see that from who likes to claim to be the second or third strongest, obviously, of CP9 if you go based on those power levels from Fukaru or whatever. But anyway, let me know what your answer to that question is in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should feel I deserve it, or hit the thumbs down if you just have nothing better to do and you came here to do that. That's fine too. Feel free to certainly comment and answer the questions and whatnot, and you know, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to subscribe to my other channels and follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.